Hello friends! Well, of all the things I could decide to do today, I've decided to start a new tapestry weave because I enjoyed finishing that last one, and I want to do a very different, bulkier, woolier kind of tapestry weave. Now, Spruce and Linen, one of my favorite tapestry weave YouTube channels, she had a little short, and I'm going to try to do a link to that short that shows when she did. It's a little scene. It's with a farm field in the front and a blue sky, and then she did some needle felting. There is needle felting in it as well, that I'd like to give it a try. So I am putting my this string onto my tapestry loom and going to start up this, and we'll see how it goes. I'll show you the yarn that I picked out so far. I'm putting this kind of olive green color as the base. Now the fringe is going to hang over this, so this won't even show, but this is a stabilizer for the bottom of my weave. Got to make sure we don't pinch in those edges, okay? Now I started with a twining stitch at the very bottom, which I did in my last tapestry weave along the top, and then I did, I think, maybe 4 rows of just tabby of plain weave. And I'm going to pull through my last one. I think I'm always catching my yarn on the side like that. Now, my friend over there on the video, there she is, she says to do a kind of an arch in the middle so that you really don't keep it too tight. The tendency is for these strings on the side to get pulled in, and so you want to make sure you don't put too much tension on that. So you do the arch, you beat it in the middle, and then on the sides. Okay. All right. So then I'm just going to tuck in these little ends because they're going to get covered up, and we will start on the fringe. Now I have done some, I think she calls them raya loops for the fringe. I've done 4 lengths of this green that I used also for the base. And so I put all 4 lengths together, and when you double it through with this little loopy, the ends go through back through the middle of the pair of warp strings. You get 8 strings down here, so hopefully that'll be enough fringe to give it some substance. I'm not trimming it yet because I'm afraid it's going to be kind of short, but I hope not. And now for the next big section, I'm going to be using this. Hope it's green enough. I really want it to be green enough, but we'll see. I am loving this yarn. Isn't that beautiful? I'm not sure exactly if it's going to go with this olive green down here now, but I'm not changing it now at this point. But I think that is great. I do think it has a lot of blue tones, but I think it's got a lot of green. This is supposed to be kind of like the fields in front of the house, one can hope. It is what it is, but yeah, it's very, very thick, so it goes really fast. I'm pushing it down with my comb each time, trying to make sure that this doesn't get tight on the side. But I've always felt like if you have a more interesting and complicated yarn, then you don't need complicated stitches. A plain stitch works really well if you have a complicated yarn like that. And here is the label for that chunky yarn. Plymouth yarn from Bristol, Pennsylvania, but it's made in Italy. All right, I'm making some progress on this first plied bobbin. Let me show you what I've got going on. Remember the deep orange? And here's the yellow I was spinning. Those two together give you this. It's a little bit more of a barber pole look. Now remember, I had a little bit of avocado, and when I put it with the yellow, it gave me that, which is it's kind of insipid. I don't know. The first thing that went on this bobbin was the lighter orange with the yellow. I think I liked it best, and I have so much of that. I have a lot of yellow too. I have plenty of this that I can spin up and ply. It just takes forever. But anyway, this will be fun and interesting. I don't have to leave this all together. I can cut it up by color after I get the yarn finished, and I'll probably use it for weaving anyway, so I can insert it where I want into the final weave. Here is the first plied bobbin done. That turned out very interesting. This is what happens when you spin singles that you spun up a long time ago and don't remember really what you did. As you can see, I had some nice deep orange, but I also had something dark. Not sure what that was. And then there's something that looks more red. I don't really know what they all were, but I think it turned out pretty good. Now I'm going to put it on my nitty knotty, turn it into a hank, put it in the steamer, steam it for 20 minutes, turn it, thwack it, dry it, and I will have myself some yarn. It hangs pretty straight up and down. No severe twisting. That's a very good sign. So here's my little steaming operation. That's a nice big hank. Ooh, all right. And then I cover it. And I'm going to let it come to a boil and steam for maybe 10 minutes. And then I'll come in with, I like this little fork. Let me show you. This is my favorite fork. I bought it at an old country store in West Virginia, rural West Virginia. And I use it to kind of turn the yarn, to put the hot on top and the cold on the bottom, and let it steam for about 10 more minutes, and then I take it off. While my yarn is steaming for the last 8 minutes, I am starting some banana bread. This is my mother's old recipe. Pretty simple recipe. Makes a nice, yummy, soft banana bread. Now I had 3 kind of ripe bananas and a bunch of figs off the tree. I'm going to call that 4 ripe bananas. We'll see. And the figs will give even more sweetness. The bananas do too. So I'm going to continue with this recipe, and I'll let you know how it goes. I love a good potato masher for something like this. It is making short work of the figs and bananas both. Alright, I'm going to thwack it when it cools a little bit. And now I'm going to hang it. It's hanging off of part of my loom. And I put a little, it's not very full, but it's a bottle on the bottom that just gives it a little extra tug to keep it straight until it dries. It's probably sometime tomorrow. Alright, I've just added the eggs to the rest of my mixture. I've put in the dry ingredients. I put in less sugar. I would have had to put 2 cups of sugar. I think things used to be sweeter 50 years ago. So now I'm going to beat these eggs in, and I'm going to pour them into the loaf pans. I'm going to put pecans in one, but not in the other. All right, time to pop them in the oven. All right, there's the no nut. Here's the one with pecans. I put a lot of pecans in. Thought I'd have a little bit of butter with my piece. I'm running errands. I'm going to take it with me. That looks like something good. Now it's time to move on to the sky on my tapestry weave. And I was thinking about using this wool, but it's pretty thin. I did put it on there just for, one row to see if the color matched well, and it was beautiful. But I want to be able to needle felt something on top of the sky, and trees, clouds, and maybe a little house if I can do it. My other choice is something a little bit lighter, this blue, and this is that roving that I use to make those felted wool slippers. And it's not a lot thicker, but I think it's a bit thicker, and it might take the felting better. So I'm going to try this and see what I think. Now I am going to double this yarn that is the sky to make it a little bit thicker so that it will match the yarn below. Now I will admit that I liked the darker better, but I think it was too dark. It almost looked like a night sky, and that's not what I'm looking for. And I think this will look more like a daytime sky. Well, here is the sky so far. I'm real pleased with this, and I think it ties in better with the olive colored green down here. But anyway, you can see toward the bottom it's compressed better, and the warp strings don't show, and of course that'll continue. I think I need about another 50%, like maybe that much more at least. And I'm considering having a few rows of this dark blue along the top to kind of balance it off, just my twining stitch at the top, just as a kind of a cap. So that's it so far. I don't think I've done any tapestry weaving with this before, and that was real fun. That might be a good use of that yarn if I'm not going to keep making slippers. All right, I have to go check on my chickens, and then I'll come back and work on this some more. I thought I would mention one little thing is that I'm trying to be very, very careful not to have any twists in, to have these two threads twisted up as I go. But at the edges, I am making sure when they turn that the bottom thread here, the bottom yarn here, remains the bottom yarn, and the top yarn remains the top yarn. In other words, when I turn, I don't have them go like that. I have them kind of turn on top of each other like that. Does that make sense? I think that gives for a smoother edge. Yeah. Now I'm finishing off with a twining stitch at the top, like I did last time. See the effect it has? And you can pull it nice and taut after you get to the end. I'm holding the camera. As you see, I'm watching Kate at the Last Homely House. But yeah, you can make it's very ropey looking. And then when I get done with that, I'll have enough to do a couple of rows of just plain stitched, tabby stitch. And that'll finish it off. And I'll push it down really well. And then we will work on putting some stuff in here to make it a real scene. All right, now I think I'm going to finish this video here because otherwise it'll be too long. This looks more gray, but it's actually a blue, it's a blue-gray. I hope you can see how all of this is well compacted now, okay? And part of that is having, I did a twining stitch, one row of tabby, and then another twining stitch, and it is really nice and secure and presses this down. And this will give me a good firm surface to do my needle felting on. And that's a whole nother can of worms. I have never had success at needle felting. So we will see if I can get anything on there. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I had to hunt forever to find my needle felting pen, if that's what this is. I have tried needle felting before. You just lay a thin layer. This is some of that same green I used for slippers. Yes, that's the green I used for the slippers I just made recently. Anyway, now you have to really, really poke. And it is adhering better to this, which is wool, than to this, which is not wool. So that's important to remember. Like, I'm having a hard time getting this here to adhere, but I think it'll be fine because all of that around it is adhering. I'm going to have to really, really poke it hard. But I got a little line of green grass here. I want to do some green trees. I'd love to do a little house. I definitely want to do clouds filling the sky and maybe get some black and do some little black birds. Oh, I'm so excited. Let me show you the big bag of wool that I have to work with. Here is some of the white I'm going to use for the clouds. Oh, wow. Here's my super big bag of wool that I've got so many colors in here, dark colors, light colors, variegated colors. I've got lots to choose from.